Welcome to the Tree Forge. Hey guys, Sean here. Appreciate you joining me today. We're going to be setting up a piece of walnut here. This piece of walnut actually started out as a future end table, but when it was drying it split right down the center, and the split was just not recoverable. So I went ahead and cut it down, and this turn was a little eventful. Made a few mistakes on it. Had a few just one of those things type situations go on. When I was trimming off the corners on here, it actually caught the bandsaw blade, turned it just enough that it caught, and I managed to break my first bandsaw blade. So that was something, as a new experience, definitely gets the heart rate going. Just putting on the faceplate here and getting ready to turn it. And like I said, this is a really nice piece of walnut, and overall I think it turned okay. Now this is my first video, so bear with me. The Adobe Premiere software that I am using, I am learning as I go, so this is probably not the most well put together video you'll ever see. However, as I continue to do this, I will continue to get better at it. Just rounding off the rest of those corners here, get at least the bottom portion nice and rounded to begin turning out the first angle. Here I am. I'm just going to go ahead and smooth out the bottom, get ready to put that mortise in. Again, this piece of walnut actually came to me as a scrap piece somebody was just going to get rid of, and I'm like, hey, I'll take that. You know, the woodworker never bypasses free wood, especially the good wood. Go ahead and put the mortise in here, and you know, I want to make sure it's nice and smooth across the bottom. Get that nice little dovetail in, and now I'm going to go back here and I'm going to start shaping the bottom half of the bowl. Now, when I started this project, I honestly didn't know that this was going to be a bowl. I thought maybe it'd be a platter, bowl, maybe a frisbee. I really don't know, and that's the way I like to turn. I don't usually have real big preconceived notions of what I'm doing unless it's a commission piece. But when I do these projects, I honestly let the wood kind of just determine what I'm going to do here. Here I'm just going to go ahead and round off the top half of the bowl. And then you saw there just a minute ago I put some decorative grooves in the bottom just to kind of give it a little bit more character. So didn't show you the sanding for the most part. I don't think anybody really gets that interested in sanding, but I do sand from 80 grit all the way up to 600, and then I'll put 3 coats of sanding sealer on. And in between each sanding sealer, I will hit the first 2 coats I'll hit with 600 grit sandpaper, just take the nubs off, and then the last time I actually will use a piece of blue jeans that I cut, and I just use that to just kind of just knock those last little few off without actually bringing the sandpaper back out. Here we're using the Axe abrasive paste after the 3 coats of sandpaper. I really enjoy the Axe abrasive paste and Axe restorative paste. I am not sponsored by them by any means. However, I do like what the product does for me. And really, you know, when you put it on the abrasive paste, you're just running it into the wood until the oils break down, and it really gets that nice smooth finish. Then I'll come back and I use a clean paper towel and just get the excess off of it. And then from there I put that restorative paste, which you kind of saw there briefly. I probably should have slowed the video down just a little bit right there. And again, this is, you put it on there and you start working it in, and then you'll speed it up and kind of burnish it into the wood, and it brings that wood to life. And then the last thing I do is I do like to put some beeswax on as the final coat. And again, we're doing the exact same thing. You kind of work it into the wood, and then you start spinning it faster and you burnish it in. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to flip this around, and we're going to put it on the chuck jaws here. And everything, you know, thus far has gone really well for me. I do need to go back, or I was going to go back and use a piece of Formica and burn those decorative lines on the bottom, which I didn't go back and do. Here we're going to use the Forstner bit, and we are going to go ahead and put in the center hole Normally I don't have any problems with the bit spinning. In this one I did. So again, I tightened it up a little bit more. I start going in, and you know, it's still fighting me, so I had to actually hold onto the bit here to try and keep it from spinning on me, and just really had to start taking it and just not go super fast on it. I'm not sure, the video just did something weird there. So again, just wanting to make sure my depth is good. I don't want to go all the way through the bottom. Apparently, you know, I like the finger trick there. I'm going to put in a little bit further here. I did put a piece of tape on there, but I like to double check. I have done a few projects where I've dug right through the bottom of the bowl, and that's just annoying. Alright, so we're going to get ready to start hollowing it out. Now with this one, you know, I honestly started getting a little aggressive on it, and I shouldn't have, but honestly I kind of felt like I was getting pressed for time with some other things family related. So I'm just kind of just boring this right through, and again, you pay the price. Shot it right off of the chuck there. You'll see here I shattered the wood there between the mortise and that first decorative line, which is kind of where I made the mistake. Is one, I was trying to go really shallow on my mortise, just to save as much as I could for the bowl side. And the other problem is those decorative lines, I think it just weakened that wood. And I probably shouldn't have had that one that close. I should have just went further out and just done 2 lines. So now I have to figure out what I'm going to do, because I have a big old hole in the middle, so the chuck isn't going to hook on the front. So I had watched another channel, and honestly I don't remember whose channel it was, where they actually used a tennis ball. And so that's what I'm going to give a try here. You line it up and just take your tailstock, push it right up, and squish that tennis ball flat, and it will hold. Now, to try and keep from marring the bottom, I did put some paper towel wadded up on the tailstock here so that it wouldn't hopefully put a dent or scrape into it. And I'm just really trying to be careful here. I'm extending out the mortise to that first line where the break was, and again, just trying to get it nice and smooth in there. Obviously I'm not using the drill to sand, so I'm using my hands here with the sandpaper. I am hitting that center stock every once in a while, and that kind of started dinging up on my fingers a little bit, but overall this was working pretty good. I end up not being like overly thrilled with this new mortise, so I did come back and decide that I'm gonna try and cut it out a little bit more, make it a little bit better, dovetail in there for my jaws to hold. Now, one of the things I did figure out is this ended up being bigger than what my current jaws would handle, so I was trying to figure that out, and then I realized that one of the folks in our woodworking or wood turning club had given me some ones that he had that fit this style chuck, that he didn't have the chuck anymore, and so I kind of got lucky because those were the larger pair. But again, you saw I just went back and did a little bit better job on the tail there, going back, re-sanding everything. Just really want to, you know, make sure that I'm doing the best I can for the bottom, because, you know, right now the very center of that I'm not touching, and honestly I might end up even going back after this video and trying to do a little bit more work on the very center. I might just try and sand it down a little bit to blend it in a little bit more, because it didn't, you'll see at the end of the video, it did not turn out quite as good as I'd wanted to do. So again, putting the sanding sealer back on, and we'll take this, you know, from 80 to 600 sanding sealer, 3 coats, and then we'll use the abrasive paste, restorative paste, and the beeswax. If you guys like what is going on here and you want to follow, please go ahead and subscribe, like this video if you liked it, put comments down there. I'm always open to feedback. Go ahead and hit the notification bell if you want to see my next videos coming out. Again, like I said, this is my first video and I can only go up from here. So I hope that if nothing else you do enjoy the video itself, and hope to see you guys on the next video. Again, just finishing up this here and getting it all cleaned up as best I could. And again, I'm just letting it dry there. And I like to, for me, I like having my lathe on when the sanding sealer is drying, just because I don't like getting pools of it anywhere. Which I think you'll see here, I did it off the lathe on one, and it did pull up a little bit. I don't remember if I cut that video part out or not. But generally speaking, I will always put my sanding sealer and then turn my lathe on to let it dry. And it seems to be the best for me. And then of course, obviously if you're a turner, you know that you've got to keep your tools sharp. Walnut is a very dense wood, and so I think I ended up sharpening my bowl gouge twice on this project. The nice thing is if you do it often, of course you have to do less. So you're just touching it. You're just, I've got the CBN wheel, 180 grit, and I don't have to spend much time on it when I'm sharpening. So on this one, I just started first pulling it back towards me. Didn't want to be very aggressive, and even on here, I'm just taking smaller chunks out. Really, honestly, a little bit nervous about how that the mortise is going to hold up, because really all I did was make it a bigger mortise. Didn't really go much into the deeper part, just because at this point I had already drilled with the Forstner bit, and so I did not know how much I could really get away with. Really liking the bowl at this point. I'm big on having a nice smooth transition between the sides and the bottom. I'm not real big on the straight edge down and over. So I'm just trying to get that curvature in there. And then as I'm doing this, I'm also noticing that I have a raised area on the bottom between the side and the center that I'm going to have to take care of. But overall, this really turned out pretty nice this time around with the second time putting it on this way. Sorry, my phone decided to ring. But overall, I was very pleased with how this was turning out. Again, I'm just going to sand this from 80 grit all the way up to 600 grit. And again, 3 coats of sanding sealer. And again, at this point, everything else really started to fall into place. And I guess I'm going to show you a little extra sanding just in case we have some sanding buffs out there. But I did try and put it as a faster video for y'all. One of the other things I was going to mention is the mask I have, which I just got, and I can't think of the name of the mask, but it was a recommendation off of Stubby Nubs, because the previous mask I have, which is an integrated full face shield and dust mask or dust prevention, and it was constantly leaking. It was when I'd breathe in, it would pull the dust into the main shield. I was getting it in my eyes. The mask wasn't sealing great, so I was getting it into breathing it. And I was watching Stubby Nubs, and he did a recommendation, and so I ordered it, and I'll find that video and I'll just link it down below. This mask is phenomenal. I was out in my shop working. I did this bowl, and then I was doing some Christmas ornaments, and I was out there for probably 4 or 5 hours and had that mask on the whole time. And with all of that, when I took it off, I had nothing got in past it. You could see on my face where the dust kind of got on my face on the outside, but it was perfectly clean on the inside. And the nice thing is this mask was only like $19. So I'll link that video and you can watch it. And Stubby Nubs is a great person to follow. He has a lot of good information, and he's not so much on the turning as much as woodworking in general, but it is a good channel to watch. All right, just finishing up the bowl here, letting it spin to dry. And at this point, I can already start seeing what the grain's going to look like, and it is just really starting to pop. Okay, I'm going to do my Axe abrasive paste, and again, you can follow the Axe abrasive paste online. They haven't done a video this summer. They took the summer off, but there's some older videos talking about the product and whatnot. And again, I would just check it out or go to their website and check it out. It works really well. I'm really pleased with it. It's basically 1,000 grit, 1,200 grit when you do it. And so you're really just getting that fine finish. Here we're putting the restorative paste on. Again, like I said, you'll work it in and just speed that up, and then you'll just basically burnish it back off. And for those of you that don't know what burnishing is, basically I'm using that paper towel and holding it against the wood until I get that friction going so it heats up. And most wood turners will tell you do it long enough, you'll start getting your fingers a little warm on multiple occasions. And that's when you know it's working, is when it starts getting hot. Again, just looking at the bowl, making sure I've got everything. Sorry about the jumpy camera there. But here's the bowl and all its finishedness. I think it turned out really well. Again, if you look at the bottom, I think the very center of that bowl, I need to go back and do something with it. But overall, I'm pretty happy with this little bowl, little dish. I appreciate you guys watching the video, and welcome to the Tree Forge. Hope to see you on the next video.